We have to be football tonight.
There was. We have to dissect some of this stuff. We'll get to it, but let's hit the intro. Welcome to the Roto Hackers video podcast. My name is Judah Buddha. I'm here with AJ Herschel, the kid, and it's Jared. And we are going to talk some fantasy football, even though this may be the most complicated week of all, with so many ins and outs. How are you guys doing, gentlemen?
Hey, Jay.
Okay. Me too.
Fine. Fantasy's a little bit iffy. I'm going either 4-3 or 5-2, depending on whether Eric Ebron gets 3 points. And I should have gone with my gut and started Dallas Goedert of all people. Sorry, not Dallas Goedert. Richard Rodgers. I thought about picking him up as just like I just need 3 points and garbage time touchdown. And Derrick Henry this week helped me lose to Scarabi Giraffe, even though there was no way I was going to win that game anyway. But he also helped me beat Judah this week in a league. So that's a pretty decent trade-off to me. I'll take that.
And you guys will play again next week. So
yeah. I think in like all of our leagues we're 1-1 against each other this year. Something like that. Like that. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh, mercy. How about you, Jared? How you doing, bro?
A couple of big games to be decided by that Ravens-Steelers game tomorrow night. I need like the Pittsburgh defense to get like 12 points or less, and I need Benny Snell to get like 11 or 12 points or less. And it's going to be, and so here's the crazy thing. In one of my leagues, it's $100 league. I'm 7-4. I'm 7-4 and in fourth place. And then there's two teams behind me that are 6-5. So they're right there with me, so I need a little bit of breathing room because I got a couple of tough matchups. I was playing an 0-11 team this week. An 0-11 team who hasn't messed with his lineup in forever. And he's got Minshew in as his quarterback. And so he's still in there. So no points from quarterback, but here's what did happen. He had Jarvis Landry, who went off for a career, a season high. He doubled his season high. I mean, Landry had single digits, except for a couple of weeks. He came out with 24. Swift was out, so then his running back, one of his running backs is Adrian Peterson. So then Peterson had 17. Evan Ingram is his tight end. Evan Ingram had a season high 13.9 points. Robbie Anderson went off for 17. And so then now it comes down to Snell. So all that and no quarterback in there. But because the running backs just happened to be out and he happened to have the backups in there, he could end up beating me. So I'm hoping that Benny Snell does not, get like more than I can survive like 12 points, a little over 12 points. So,
well, I let me do you one better.
Oh
no.
Remember I told you I was playing the guy and just like waiting to see, and should I call him whether or not he's going to put Swift in, and I didn't. And he kept Swift in, and then he kept Gurley in.
Ooh.
And he had Wentz going. I didn't think Wentz was really going to, get a lot this week. I thought they were going to be putting a lot of Hurts in. Hurts, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it hurt because not for him, but I had sweet Daniel Jones in there. I thought, going into this game, I was like, okay, this is going to be an easy win. I had Daniel Jones, got me a nice fat 9.
Yep.
I had Curtis Samuel, got me 7. Rager got me 1. Damian Harris got me 4. Kamara thank you. My star player got me 5. Kelsey, other star player, got me 8.
Yeah.
Henderson got me 1. Emmanuel Sanders got me 0. My star player this week was Sanders, the kicker from Miami. Cleveland got me 0. The lowest I've ever scored, ever, 47 points in the fantasy football.
Oh,
Wow. What is this, a money league?
that's brutal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is my like, I've been in this league the longest. I'm 3rd place. I needed to win. I had a chance to be 1st place after next week.
That's brutal.
He might have knocked me out of the playoffs too.
Man.
Because I mean, we're all about 6, we all, like you said, we're all about the same. I need points.
Yeah.
I need points.
Right. Yeah. There's something that may come down to point tiebreakers, and it's going to be very close. Yeah. And I had some leagues where fortunately it didn't matter because like one of my other $100 leagues, it's another 7-4 team. It's going to be 7-5 now after this week.
Yeah.
But the other guy scored so many that it didn't matter. I mean, he had 170 because he had Antonio Gibson and all these guys. But like, I picked up Brian Hill thinking like, oh, Brian Hill's going to have a good game against the Raiders. Nope. 5.5 points. And even worse on the other side was Josh Jacobs, who had 3.9.
Left the game early. And then my other running back was Miles Sanders, who had 5.2, and Miles Sanders touches just keep basically going down every week. So yeah. Now, are you watching the game? Is he getting? So is somebody else? I just haven't seen anybody else getting the touches when it comes to running back.
No, I don't know what Philadelphia is doing. I don't know what Philadelphia
Nobody
is doing. They don't seem to know that. Like they said, they were going to feature Hurts more, and then they didn't really do.
He was in for like 5 snaps.
Right. So I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, it's not like Boston Scott is getting. I mean, he's getting some, but it's not like he's just eating a bunch of garbage or vulturing touchdowns or something.
No, they're not even running the ball very much.
Mm-mm.
Well, I don't know. My pathway. Oh, okay. Anyways, we'll get to the chat real quick. News.
Also, join our Discord. Link is in the chat now if you haven't already.
Jared still hasn't joined, but whatever. Okay. So news, the COVID thing. There was supposed to be football tonight, as you were saying, AJ. It was moved to tomorrow night. They found people with positive tests as they were they got the news as they were flying there. And I think they're still going to play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the NFL was just hoping like, oh, maybe we won't have any so we can say that, see, we didn't have any, but like, okay, we had some, we're going to play anyway. So,
yeah.
It's hard because they made Denver play.
That's the other thing is like, if they let them off the hook after making Denver play without a quarterback, then it's tough to justify not letting, or it's tough to justify postponing another team's.
Now, is this the same as last time? Where is the waiver wire? Are these games going to count towards week 11?
Yeah.
12. Week 12.
12, I mean?
Yeah.
Since there's no Thursday night game anymore because of the Wednesday game, waivers are just going to be Thursday and Friday instead of the normal Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, that gives us a lot of time to pick up waivers.
For real.
Now, there are some gems out there. Since we found out, yes, a couple days ago, yesterday, sometime, that our buddy Fuller, the reason he hasn't got hurt is because he's inducing.
Okay, that's not what happened, but
Performance enhancing drugs.
Okay, but it was because his doctor had prescribed him medications for his bum knee last year that were supposedly NFL approved, and they ended up not being NFL approved.
I don't think they would suspend him 6 games if it was that simple.
Just saying.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it really. But he and Bradley Roby both.
Yeah.
Their cornerback Bradley Roby was the other one who got suspended. So I don't know. Interesting.
It is interesting, but that leaves some. Now he may appeal it. He may come back by week. You know, he might only get a 4 or 3 game suspension. We don't know. I mean, maybe there's a misunderstanding, what have you. I don't think so. But who would you pick up? Would you be picking now? Brandon Cooks is not available probably anywhere, but he may be. I tried. I wish I had made more deals. Whatchamacall, my guy
Cobb's out.
is available.
Well, yeah,
and he's available, right?
Well, he's hurt. He's on IR. He's on IR. I think
he should be back by next week. No, then the week after next.
I think he can be back for week 15, which would be the playoffs, which don't help you if you're trying to make the playoffs. But if you're already in, then But if you're already in, you probably don't need Randall Cobb that badly. So
fire up all your Kiki Cutie, ladies.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like the next man up is Kiki Cutie. Who
we put the spelling in the chat because it's hard to find when I'm like, you know, when I'm putting. How do you spell that?
It's Coutee.
Oh,
He was
all right.
He was briefly like.
A couple years ago he was relevant.
I thought he was going to kind of be a thing because of course Will Fuller was hurt. I'm looking back to his 2018 season, his first game and his last game were spectacular. He had 15 targets, 109 yards in his first game in 2018, and then his last game he had 14 targets, 110 and a touchdown, and since then just not much.
No, and they went out and got Brandon Cooks, so they weren't, super excited about Cutie. He was getting injured a lot too.
Yeah, he kind of had the same Will Fuller problem. So
yeah. So they went out and got Brandon Cooks, which is like kind of a Fuller clone in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to be gleaned from that? Was there any more news you guys want? It looks like Tua's going to be able to play.
Will he? Good. Will he though? Are they saying he's going to start?
Optimism internally that Tua can play week 13. That's vague. That is pretty vague.
Pretty happy that all the Broncos quarterbacks have been cleared off of the COVID list now. All of them except I think Jeff Driscoll. I think all of them are going to be back.
Well, he was the original one. He's the only one who was sick. All the other ones were banned because they weren't wearing masks around them or something.
The Dolphins thing is going to be interesting because they're 7-4 and in the thick of the playoff hunt. So do you just say, hey, we got to check and see what we got for the future? We're going to go with Tua still, even though he hasn't really done a whole lot.
Yeah. Or they should let the old Fitz magic happen. I want them to play Fitz magic because I have them in Dynasty and I have a shot at the playoffs. But also, so Dobbins and Ingram will be eligible tomorrow for the game. Helps nobody. Thanks for that. Probably helps dude you're playing or somebody like that who hasn't, kept them in the lineup, hasn't moved anything.
Right. Yeah.
And then the Ravens Cowboys game has been moved to Tuesday night per source. So confusion all around.
It's just per the usual for this NFL season, though, anyway.
I don't know. This is pretty bad. It hasn't. I mean, it was actually pretty good after week 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 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 We got off with no real problems initially, and then for the most part after that, it hadn't been that bad. We would have little, hiccups here and there, but yeah, now it's kind of this week especially was just chaos for me trying to do lineups because I had so much of Mark Andrews in there. I had so many Steelers wide receivers, the Pittsburgh defense.
You still have a lot of the running back too, Connor.
So I mean that was part of it too. Although I wasn't really like super excited about playing him against the Ravens, so I was looking for other options anyway. But but then after you started losing so many people, you're like, oh well, I might could use him as a flex after all, because then it was so much of it wasn't even like COVID. It was like okay, Kenny Golladay still isn't back, Joe Mixon is still out. Todd Gurley is now hurt. He's going, he's out for the week. Julio, well, no, I don't have any more of Julio, but just various people, and you're like, oh crap, I just need someone. I just need someone in there.
Yeah. And then Josh Jacobs got injured too. So
it's I'm really not feeling great about next week, other than the fact that many of my opponents have the same problem. So I had to face, in that league where I had 45 points or whatever, my opponent had Tyreek Hill. How many of those, Derrick Henry? I had Derrick Henry, thank goodness, in one of my $100 leagues. He saved my week. That was the one I tried to trade for Jacobs. So now I'm feeling good that
just
banned that trade.
After you were just Tuesday night, after you were bashing Derrick Henry again for not.
Judah's Crow.
I feel like we need a formal apology intro at some point. I mean, this just keeps adding up. It's got to happen.
I need something particularly for Henry. I really do.
Like just specifically for Derrick Henry.
Yep. Oh, one piece of good thing that did happen. Eckler's back. Eckler's back in full force.
So he's also on that team for me. Yeah,
it's crazy. Enjoy your Keenan Allen shares while you had him. Eckler's taking away half his targets now.
Yeah, there is that, and also didn't help.
Herbert
very
much. No.
Did they win the game?
No.
I mean, for all the talk about Herbert, he hasn't really got a lot of W's.
Well, that's also kind of because his defense is consistently letting just everyone score however many points they want.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the story in. Well, I started to say San Diego, but with the Chargers, I mean, that was always like Phillip Rivers would put up good stats.
Yeah.
But just it never came together for wins at the right times, at least. Right. Like they would win some games. But
yeah, let's be clear. The Chargers defense is the one that let the Jets score 28 points. That kind of says it all.
It kind of says a lot for sure. Well, unless there's any other news we should tackle, I feel like there's one other thing I'm missing. I can't think of it, though. If something comes up, put it in the chat, or if you guys think of it, let's bring it up. Because we got to go to the chat, and then we got to do a little waiver wire, and I don't want to stay out here too long. McSweet said, we were talking about this. He actually posted this before we even opened up here. Good job, brother. 11-1.
220. My goodness.
Into week 13, he's and he explains why we kind of guessed most of this, but Gibson, I didn't. Woof, that is
very nice.
Probably only like half point PPR too. Didn't even need all that PPR. Nice. He says, any thoughts on Matt? Oh yeah, that's it. That's what I was thinking of. Matt Patricia coming back to the Patriots and getting fired from.
Is that official? He's coming back to New England though, because I've heard it was a rumor.
I think it is a rumor. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a rumor. You can effort that, but I think it's a rumor. He's definitely fired, though, from the Lions.
Yeah.
What does that look like for the team? Does it change anything? Why was he fired?
I think for being a terrible coach.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be a defensive guy, and the worst part about the Lions for the last 3 years has been their defense.
True. That is true. Oh, man. It sucks to be a Lions fan.
Yeah. I've seen stuff about like how Belichick really does not. Belichick kind of seems to operate in a way where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and so as far as like the jokes about his coaching tree, what I've seen is that basically like Andy Reid is a great guy to work for your career because he will teach his assistants what he knows, and and maybe some of that comes back to hurt him when they play each other something. But Bill Belichick doesn't do that. I read this. I read this story. I think it was when maybe it was last year or so. It was kind of basically talking about how part of the thing of getting McDaniels to come back and not take that Colts job a few years ago was that Belichick basically promised him he would tutor him and kind of teach him all his tricks of the trade or whatever. And so the story basically talked about how, Belichick just did not do that with anybody. Like, everybody had kind of their job and he didn't really teach them anything beyond that. So anyway, so that kind of explains it. And I think the thing with Matt Patricia and kind of what we see with multiple guys who worked for Belichick, Matt Patricia, Bill O'Brien in Houston, is that they have this swagger. Like they have more swagger than, Belichick doesn't really, he's just gruff, but they have
he's a humble
this
guy when you talk to him.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. But they have this sort of bravado as if they've been the ones winning those rings in New England. And so they go to another organization and culture and, and no one respects them because they're coming in without any of the real cred. I saw a clip of Patricia, like just chewing out this reporter at a news conference, like, telling him to sit up straight and this, that, and the other. And like, what are you doing? You don't, I don't think Belichick would even, do that with someone. So I don't know, just for whatever reason, I'm not sure if he attracts some of these guys because they're, they'll follow his orders while they're there. And then they get out on their own and they think, I can do what I want now. I'm the man. So I don't know, but it it has just never worked out with any of his.
Well, except for who's the guy that the Titans guy? He's pretty good, isn't he? Like
Vrabel, but he was a player, not a coach.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
I think Sunday Night Football one time showed like a tree between Belichick and Andy Reid and like all their accolades. There's a reason why Andy Reid's coaches have 2 Super Bowls, the ones that coached under him between Harbaugh and Doug Peterson. Belichick's been coaching for like 30 years. Nobody's ever won a Super Bowl from him.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And wow. It'd be interesting to see if he actually followed through. He seems like a credible guy that if he followed through with Daniels.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with Daniels now.
Snake McDaniels.
McDaniels, yeah. Let's see. Anthony says, I'm still in the playoff contention. Roto Hackers Listening League. My pathway is through Judah Buddha. Wait, my pathway is Judah Buddha to win his match against AJ.
Nope.
And I need to win my match against 710. Let's go, Judah. Get that win.
All right, you know what? Saturday, I'm pulling out duct tape. I'm going to have the biggest 710 banner you've ever seen back here, man. I am the biggest 710 fan in the world.
Let me see. I don't even remember who I have on that team. Oh, DK. Maybe DK will go off. Yeah,
I kind of bombed. I think I put up 66 in Roto Hackers this week. I had 2 people go over 10. And that was Devontae 15 and Stafford 17. Everybody else didn't even put up 8. Thank you, Melvin Gordon and Cooper Kupp and Nelson Aguilar. Yay. And of course, McCaffrey's on bye next week.
Maybe he'll be back after that. I mean, if he's not coming back after that, I don't think he's coming back the rest of the season.
I know. I gotta survive this week, though. I gotta make it this week, even to beat Judah, to get the chance of having McCaffrey.
Well, or let's see, or you could just have MathQuest lose. You don't necessarily have to have a win. MathQuest could just lose.
That's true. That's true. Good luck, man.
He can't be mathematically eliminated because he is MathQuest. Okay, moving on. Sam Joshi, good to have you in here, bub. Is the game gonna happen tomorrow? I'm thinking yes.
Like it.
Yeah, it looks like it. Unfortunately, I would be okay if it just didn't happen because I could use.
Most people would be, right? I mean, most people are saying, "Come on,
I need it. I need it."
Oh yeah,
I need Ebron. I just need 3. That's it. Or Chase Claypool not to get 40. That too.
Well, he may. I don't know.
We'll see if the game doesn't happen. Then Chase Claypool couldn't get 40.
True.
There you go. Liam Wilson says, Hey. What's going on, buddy? He says, you guys think Taysom can get 25 again versus ATL, or should I roll with Tannehill versus the Browns? I would probably roll with Taysom. I don't know. I'm a little biased because I have to roll with Taysom. But between him and Tannehill tends to surprise. And since he is not a bad matchup, that might be the safe roll.
Cleveland.
Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't actually. That's kind of a tougher matchup. I don't know.
I don't know. I've got to roll with Tannehill in some leagues. I'm actually going to start him over Herbert in some leagues this week because Herbert is playing the Patriots, and the Patriots have just been rough on quarterbacks this year. I benched Kyler in some leagues because I didn't trust him against them, and he had 8.9 points. It makes me nervous. So I've got to go with Tannehill. I think Taysom and Tannehill are both
liable to get 20 points.
Yeah, it feels like I would put them, if I was ranking them, I would probably have them within 2 or 3 spots of one another because, it just seems like they're probably both going to put up similar point totals. Yeah. Oh gosh. I don't know. Do you have a preference, AJ, while I'm trying to sort that one out in my head?
Yeah, I might go. I can't believe that y'all know that Tannehill's been my guy, especially last year. I might go Taysom. I think he's safer. I think Taysom Hill is the safer play this week. Cleveland does get Myles Garrett back. He just got activated off of the COVID list today, so he's cleared to play against the Titans. So that's going to mess up that banged up Titans offensive line. Granted, they've been playing pretty well. I think they both have a decent chance to get you, like Jared said, 20 points, anywhere in the range of 17 to 24 points. But I like the matchup against Atlanta. I like having that super easy, super cheap free win defense. And Taysom's got that safe rushing floor 2 weeks in a row. Once again, he threw he completed 9 passes against Denver and still walked out with 18 points. So
that is pretty good.
I might roll with Taysom. I might go Taysom this week. I love Tannehill, but tougher matchup. Derrick Henry's on fire. I like safe play, so I'll go Taysom Hill here.
Yeah, I'll go with Taysom too.
Well, that means I can't play Taysom. I'm probably gonna have to roll with him. It's Taysom, or for me, it's Taysom or. Whoa! Almost dropped him. Don't do that. Yeah, because I've got stupid Daniel Jones. Yeah, Taysom or Jackson. I don't think Jackson's going to play.
Not
Lamar?
this week. Not this week.
Like, no, week 13?
I guess it depends on his test. Like, has he tested? I forgot. Did he test positive or did he?
I don't think so.
I'll have to go back and look. I don't remember if he tested positive or if it was just like a close contact. I mean, if he tested positive, then I think it's a minimum of 10 days.
Test positive 5 days ago. That's what it was. Yep.
So I guess the latest thing is that he has a chance to come off reserve in time to play week 13.
If they play Tuesday.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's going to be gosh.
Yeah.
I might just roll with Taysom. Okay. Let's see.
It is Dallas though.
That's true. That's a nice. But see, all right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn. Derek Carr boomed me. So he had a big game.
Rough.
No,
he
he had
got 1.8 because the Raiders put up 9 points. Was it 6?
I think it was 6, and it was off 2 field goals.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think we talked about him, and I said, like, I don't trust him on the road. He's just not done well on the road this year. So,
and Liam says AJ called Carr not doing well. Said he hasn't been good on the road all year. I give him credit for me not starting him.
You're welcome. I don't know how many right predictions I've had this year, but I'm glad I got at least one.
So you also told Ben not to start Fant. How did Fant couldn't have done well, right?
1.3.
Yeah,
he got the one pass that Kendall Hunter threw that was completed to the offense. If you count his interceptions, he completed 3 passes. But
I tried watching that. Like, I was thinking that Kendall might do, might flash or something. It was terrible.
One of my friends actually lost a game this week because he went for the sneaky play and played Kendall Hunter in a wide receiver spot, and he lost because of that.
I flexed him in a league because I was really desperate, but I won anyway. So
nice. I would have done it. I would have done it with the running back. What's his name?
Jacobs? Gordon?
Oh, Gordon. Yeah, Gordon. Yeah.
No.
Lindsay?
Lindsay?
Royce Freeman.
Royce Freeman was the emergency quarterback.
Yeah,
I would have done it with him. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Yeah, I picked him up everywhere. Good for me. Nice Royce Freeman on my bench. Thomas H says 3 weeks in a row with the tight end who put up 0. This time it was John Yoo. I'm firing all my coaches.
Dude, Liam Wilson said he was open to being your tight end coach. I don't know if he's still available, but you got to offer that man a paycheck, dude.
I was most proud of my tight end decision this week because I had lost Mark Andrews in a ton of leagues. And so, there's hardly anybody out there. And so I decided to play Rudolph because I'm like, okay, Irv Smith is out and Adam Thielen is out. They're gonna have to throw to somebody else besides Justin Jefferson, and Rudolph got 10 points. So that was my best decision of the week because I picked him up in all the places.
I saw you picking him up. Yeah. It was good. I thought I could depend on my old trusty Kelsey. 8 points in my standard.
Yeah, I mean Kelsey can't. He can't throw down 20 for you. Like I've got Kelsey in some leagues, but I don't get mad at him if he has an 8-point game. An 8-point game is good for a lot of tight ends. I mean, he can't do 20 every week. This was our conversation prior to I think Saturdays or Tuesdays where he was like dogging Derrick Henry for having not done better, and I'm like overall he's done well. He's just not been at he's not been a Dalvin Cook every week. You can count on all those points. So
you're right.
That's what happens. He bashes Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry gets word of that, and it motivates him.
So, did you guys read that thing about DK got motivated because the coach was like, He's not as good as Megatron.
I did, but then I read the whole thing, and it was like the guy, and like even though I don't like Jim Schwartz is kind of a jerk. Seems like he apparently in this case he was just being complimentary of like, man, you're really good. It's just you're not quite at. But I mean, you're saying that he's not quite at the level of one of the greatest receivers of all time, and maybe the closest physical comp for him. And then DK took motivation, but that's just like, that's athletes are like that, they'll we would like even the sports coverage that we were doing, like you'd have teams that would just take something that was nothing, it was no kind of slight against them, and they would try to use that as motivation, so
let's see. Also, he dropped so many easy touchdowns. Like,
oh my gosh,
hurt.
It was like a little kid getting thrown a ball, like getting thrown a football, and they try to close their arms around it, and it just goes right between their arms, and then they kick it. Yeah, it was like a child trying to catch a football at like 4, Nerf football at 4. I mean, it's amazing to see him do all this crazy stuff, physical stuff, and then just drop an easy breadbasket touchdown.
Ugh.
Thomas H says, "Excuse me, super easy, cheap defense." Ask Derrick Henry about that.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. I got Derrick Henry on the mind. He's in my head. Get out of my head, Derrick Henry. What is he talking about?
He's talking about Atlanta's defense, because I was saying Taysom's going to have a good matchup, which
defense
I still stand by, because Derek Carr, point to Liam for bringing this up again, doesn't play well on the road, for one. And two, Atlanta has not played the Saints well, like, at all. And I don't care if this is in Mercedes-Benz. This is still a Superdome. Who had the original Superdome? The Saints. This is still one of the best offensive lines in football. Maybe number 2, only behind the Packers. Like, that's it. The Saints and the Raiders are two very, very, very different teams.
Saints. Oh, because you were saying what?
I was saying Atlanta's defense is going to be easy for Taysom to score on.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. And then Liam says, LOL. And then Thomas H says, these aren't Dan Quinn Falcons anymore. Yeah, they got a lot better. It almost feels like they could have made the playoffs without if Dan Quinn hadn't been there.
Well, let's hold on a second here. Like, they won big this week, and then 2 weeks ago, their offensive line was like a wet paper towel that the Saints were just, running free through to crush Matt Ryan over and over. So they have played better, but I mean, it would have been interesting to see like what they had done from the beginning of the year, but a lot of these games, like they barely beat Denver in week 9. So I think they've just looked better compared to the Dan Quinn era.
Yeah. Sure. And respect to Raheem Morris, though. He took a team that had been absolutely morbidly terrible on defense and has turned them into, a decent team. But yeah, they're not making the playoffs when you have to go Saints, Bucks, Chiefs in 5 out of your last 7 games. So
no.
That's tough.
And that's the funny thing about him taking over that defense is, Dan Quinn was a defensive guy.
It's Matt Patricia all over again.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Gotta look into that. There might be something there about a defensive coach taking over and just maybe getting overwhelmed and saying, I don't know. Have to look in that. So Thomas H says, Liam, you're hired. He's hiring Liam as his coach. So now he has one coach. His other ones were fired. Let's win. Let's win, says Liam.
It's like a Johnny. It's like a Johnny Manziel. It's like when Johnny Manziel got drafted, or when the Browns told him they were going to draft him, he said, "Let's wreck this league," and then we know how that went. So just
the league
I don't know. Like, as much as I appreciate Liam's confidence there, you got to have more than bravado.
Johnny Manziel should have checked himself. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
I still remember
All
the
right.
night he got drafted. As soon as they picked him, I immediately looked over to whoever I was watching with and said, "So the Browns are not going to win a game this year." As soon as he got drafted.
Well, and on a side note with that, I saw somebody else point out, like, and I didn't even realize this until he said it. Aren't the Browns the quietest 8-3 team that you've ever seen? Like, I'm like, wait,
true.
they are 8-3. I thought they're like 6-5 probably, or no, they're 8-3.
Which, to be fair, though, I mean, yeah, they're 8-3, but they're probably quiet about it because they've beaten next to nobody. Like, they rolled over the NFC East and then beat the Texans, Jaguars, and Eagles. So
true.
The only team they have that's solid that they've beaten is like the Colts. But other than that, no, absolutely nothing.
Well, I'm just looking over some waiver wire stuff. Why don't you guys come up with some waiver wires while I play the waiver wire intro? Wait, first I want to get rid of that comment there. Oh, there's more comments. We'll come back to the comments after we play the waiver wire intro. Sleeper waiver wire. Nice and sleeper waiver wire, huh? Hit it. We did have one more comment. It was Cup and Gurley for Gibson and Cooks. I think it's an amazing trade. Just checking with y'all. Cup and Gurley for you get Gibson and Cooks.
Yes.
Do we need to talk about it?
That's a do it for me.
Okay.
Do it! Come on! Do it now!
Don't ask us! Just do it! Yeah, right? I mean,
very nice.
Yeah, I mean, like Cup has a great fantasy playoff schedule of the Jets and the Seahawks, although he didn't do well against the Seahawks in their previous matchup. But Gurley's rest of the season schedule is not great for the most part. He gets the well, no, I'm sorry. This would have been the Raiders. He gets the Chargers in week 14, which is so, but he gets New Orleans, Tampa, and Kansas City in the other three games.
Right.
So you don't really want any part of that. Whereas, Antonio Gibson's is tough for the next couple. It's Pittsburgh and San Francisco, but then his playoffs schedules Seattle and Carolina. So that's not bad. And Cooks now is the unquestioned number one wide receiver in Houston. So,
maybe
again,
I am interested to see how that's going to shake down with Watson, though, because Fuller was like lighting it up recently and been one of the most consistent players in fantasy. So I'm very curious to figure out what happens with Watson in these next few weeks.
Yeah. I have no shares of him, so I don't know, but yeah, we'll see.
I wanted to get shared. By the way, nice Blankenship goggles there, bro.
Thank you for noticing, Anthony. I've actually had these before he started wearing them, so
you've worn those as long as I've known you.
Yeah, pretty much. Once I saw that Rodrigo had those too at Georgia, I was like, okay, this is my favorite kicker I've ever seen before. I love him.
That's awesome. So we played the waiver wire. We're not going to do that again because it gives me nightmares. What should we do on the waiver wire? We don't have to do it tonight. Thank goodness. Let's take our time. Let's look over these. But who are some first impression guys that you would say, gotta snap this guy up? I'll go with a few if you guys are still working on it. What do you guys think of Deontay Foreman?
I mean, I think
the Titans running back, you mean?
Yeah, he's the backup to Derrick Henry. Would this be somebody you want to snap up if you have Derrick Henry, just in case, for the playoffs, to get settled, to get set, if you're, at the top of the food chain? It looked like Deontay Foreman was doing pretty well as a backup there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been sort of a mixed bag with him. on one hand, you might, if you're a Derrick Henry owner, you might want to pick him up regardless. I don't know that he's done all that well. I mean, this week, I guess he only had 4 carries for 28 yards. That's great. Previous 3 games, it was 1 carry for 1 yard, 7 carries for 18 yards, and 5 carries for 11 yards. So I don't know that, not that great, but their playoff schedule, even starting the week before the playoffs, after they get past Cleveland this week, it's Jacksonville, Detroit, and Green Bay. So yeah, I agree with you. I think if you have a spot that you can afford to stick him in there, because we constantly have running backs that go down right before the playoffs start, and then it's you're just scrambling, and it's whoever's got the highest waiver priority to get him. Like, yeah, if you could preemptively do that, and I was going to mention somebody else, but I'll get to it later. But yeah, I think for him, I think that's a great idea if you have a spot, because he's not going to be Derrick Henry, but the schedule is so soft that he might can give you some great numbers anyway.
Yep, I agree. Well, did you guys have anybody? That was just sort of like a sleeper waiver wire. He wasn't really a waiver wire because I don't think you have to spend much on him. That's kind of a hush sleeper waiver wire. A sleeper waiver wire. And so, AJ, you look like you have somebody that you're thinking about.
I don't know where you got that from, but I was kind of going to your handcuff strategy with Deontay Foreman. Another guy, I mean, Boston Scott somehow is getting like 6+ points per game behind Miles Sanders, and I don't understand how he does it. He's definitely the passing down back right now. He got 5 last game, 3 the game before. And I think it's the same thing. If you've got room and you have Miles Sanders, I mean, why not? It's not the greatest schedule in the world, but Boston Scott's going to get time. He's going to get passes out of the backfield. And like we're saying, running back eventually just becomes a desolate wasteland eventually. So to me, Boston Scott is definitely one that I would be a running back that I'd be looking at, because especially a running back right now, it's mostly handcuffs at this point. There aren't that many stud running backs out there that you can just, pick up for free anymore.
Yeah. Well, you guys have covered a couple of running backs, so I'm going to go with a couple of receivers. And a guy that I've mentioned, some before, but I think he's still only 55% owned, and I've got to turn to him in some leagues because I've got guys on a bye this week. I forget who all's on a bye. DJ Moore. I think Carolina's on a bye. Yeah. Tampa's on a bye. So anyway, is Corey Davis again. Who again, he's not lighting it up every game. I mean, but they played some tough pass defenses, I mean, they've really played a lot of tough pass defenses. The last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that he's played, they've played Pittsburgh. Cincinnati was the weak one, and he put up 22.8 in that one against Cincinnati, and then Indy, Baltimore, and Indy. And even against Baltimore, he had 113. He just didn't have a touchdown. But Cleveland is not that intimidating as a pass defense. And then Jacksonville, Detroit, and Green Bay. So, I mean, he's a guy that if you need a receiver, you could just plug him in there, I think, the rest of the way. And then another guy who's a little bit iffier, but again, another, for the most part, good matchups, except for week 15, maybe against the Rams. And we don't know who Jalen Ramsey will be covering, is last year's late season hero, Rashad Perryman. So the last 4 games he's had, now some of this, a lot of this was with Flacco, but even with Sam Darnold coming back, he still had 8 targets, caught 4 balls for 79 yards, fell just short of 10 points at 9.9. And the previous 2 games, he had 12.4 and 24.6. So, the Jets have the Raiders, they have the Seahawks, then the Rams, and then the Browns. So, I think there's an opportunity there for as long as they keep going to him and don't just inexplicably go back to Jarvis. I'm sorry, Jamison Crowder.
Yeah.
Then Perryman can help you out.
I like that.
I also got a couple kickers and defenses really quick for next week.
Okay.
So we've talked about Cleveland a lot. They're going to have a tough matchup this week. If people are stashing only one defense, now is going to be the time to pick them up because their playoff schedule is great. Las Vegas Raiders have been terrible in terms of fantasy defenses. They have had one good game, and it was against Denver. Their schedule has not been kind to them in terms of offenses. They played a lot of really good teams, and they get the golden matchup of the Jets this week. So don't let their season score fool you. They should be a pretty good play this week. In terms of kickers, I'd like to point out that this may have been like the greatest week in kickers history, like ever. Half of the league's kickers basically got 10 plus points. Jason Sanders, Grant, Robbie Gold, Young Koo is blowing up as kicker of the year now. And somehow Dustin Hopkins, these are kickers who are barely even owned, so you can get them. Graham Gano is 3% owned. The Giants are remembering how to play football, and he's gotten 10 plus points in 3 straight weeks. Also, a guy who's got 0% owned, but he's put up 10 points in 4 straight weeks. Dustin Hopkins for the Washington football team, and his end of season schedule ain't that bad. You're going to have to bench him this week for Pittsburgh, but then he gets San Francisco, Seattle, and Carolina, and those are beatable defenses that Alex Smith can maybe get them into field goal position because with kickers, Judah, you're the one who brought this up back when we first started Roto Hackers. With the team, you want a team that can get you inside the 50, but then doesn't know how to finish. The Giants have a hard time finishing. Washington has a hard time finishing. Those are two. And also Nick Folk, too. I think he could be interesting down the stretch because guess what? Now the Patriots are having a hard time punching it into the end zone. So couple kickers out there that you can get absolutely anywhere. Or if you're sitting with Harrison Butker hasn't been atrocious, but he is nowhere near what he used to be because the Chiefs are so good. They're just scoring so many touchdowns. So you want guys that get inside the 30-yard line and then stall out. Those are a couple of the guys that I'm looking at for kicking.
I like those. There's a few that I want to mention that we mentioned Kiki Cutie. Go out and get. He's going to be the number one, right?
2. Because Brandon Cooks is going
to I mean, he's going to be the number one waiver wire. Everybody's going to want Kiki Cutie, right?
No, I don't think so. No.
He's number one on the most added or most interested. You know how they rank him.
That's the masses. That's the masses, though. We don't follow the masses.
No, but I'm saying, so you wouldn't rank him number one. You would.
No, I wouldn't.
Who would you put? Who would you get over him? That's good to know. Would you get your guy? You mentioned what's his name?
I would. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Corey.
Perriman?
I don't know about Perriman necessarily.
Corey Davis for sure.
Corey Davis. Yeah, Corey Davis. I mean, Corey Davis is 55% owned, so he's a little above. Yeah, and part of it, since we're not doing it till tomorrow night, part of it's also going to come down to injuries and stuff like that. Like, depending on whether or not Josh Jacobs is going to miss another week, then
looks like he's not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Did he? Yeah, I don't know if he. What they're saying, or
I'll put that way you're talking, but I saw something. Go ahead, keep going.
Well, I was just going to say, the last I'd seen, I didn't look today, was Ian Rappaport said yesterday that he had a chance to play in week 13 against the Jets. Maybe they've updated that since then. I don't know.
No, I think that's what I was like. That's what I was going off of. It was not a high ankle sprain. It was just a sprain or something.
Yeah, but you have to also think about what the kind of stuff they've told us this year.
That is true.
Oh yeah, he's fine. He's gonna probably play this week. 4 weeks later, they're still not in there. So especially if you need a running back, like who's our backup in I forgot now the backup for the Raiders.
Devontae Booker.
Yeah, Booker.
Yeah.
Booker might be a good one to go get.
Yeah. So that's another one that I would have to consider.
Mm-hmm. Also, speaking of handcuffs, this week, my favorite backup running back, Latavius Murray, because the Saints realized that they could just rest everybody this week. For the 40% of you who own Alvin Kamara and don't own Latavius Murray, I would get him if I were you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why he's 60% owned. Why?
He's owned everywhere.
Greatest backup running backup in the NFL right now. You know he's going to produce.
Well, somebody who I'm seeing on the waiver wire a lot as I'm looking is actually Landry. Mm-hmm. He would be a pretty sweet little pickup. He's got who has he got? Jacksonville. No, that's who he played this week.
He just had
Tennessee. He's got Tennessee. He's got Baltimore. That's not great. But then he's got New York and New Jersey. So, New York Jets. I'm sorry, Jets, New York and New York Jets. New York Giants and New York Jets. So pretty nice schedule, except for that Baltimore matchup.
Yeah. I'm just worried about Mayfield's inconsistency quarterback. But I mean, this is getting to the point where beggars can't be choosers on the waiver wire nowadays. So
I wouldn't mind having Landry.
Yeah, and like I always say, he never does anything until the final 6 weeks of the season anyway.
And another thing is very quietly, Debo Samuel is only 57% owned.
Yeah.
So he came back against the Rams, had 13 targets, 11 catches, and 133 yards. Now, when Ayuk comes back, that could factor in, but at least Kittle is probably not going to be there at least through the rest of the fantasy season. Yeah. So Debo is a good pickup.
It's a good call. Okay, any tight ends? We didn't mention any tight ends. Would you go out and get someone like Ferkser or let's see, who is like a tight end that's out there? Hurst is now on the waiver wire everywhere.
Yeah,
Hurst, and I noticed Arnold getting a lot of targets. Are these guys that you would go? I mean, look, for as much as I hate Hurst and I dropped him with a passion, I might go pick him up again, just seeing that his schedule's not that bad, and I just got a 0 from Janu, so
yeah,
can't be worse.
Yeah, and one other guy who's a massive risk. But one other tight end you could get, Jordan Atkins. We're talking about the Texans and how they're depleted in terms of their wide receiver core. They dropped Kenny Stills. They don't have Will Fuller. They don't have Randall Cobb. My one worry about him, he dropped 2 touchdown passes, I think 2 weeks ago, but hey, he caught for 4 yards, and that's more than Jonnu Smith gave you this week. So it's a risk, but it's a calculated risk as well. He's going to have the targets, hopefully.
And the guy I just mentioned,
Rudolph?
Kyle Rudolph, depending on whether or not Irv Smith is back in there. If he is, then you may not want to do that. But if Irv Smith is out again, and he was doubtful last week, so I'm not sure if he's going to recover in time for this week. Plus, we don't know for sure about Thielen's status. But even if Thielen is back, it's Jacksonville. So I think Rudolph would be worth another stream play if Smith is out again.
And this is hoping that the Vikings keep letting Kirk Cousins throw, because this could be another Dalvin Cook gets 70 points game. That's my one little eensy-beensy worry about the Vikes this week.
Yeah.
He's a little banged up, though. He left with an ankle.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't know if it's I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But Cousins has done, apart from
I
Well,
might go
see,
get some Cousins.
I'm looking at his, like basically every home game, he's kind of in like a rich man's Derek Carr, where every home game, Cousins has done well. I mean, he's basically, I'm just looking through, I think he's been at 20 plus points in every home game. So,
Wow.
and he's got Jacksonville. So I would feel pretty good about starting Cousins. I mean, I say that, and now this will be the 1 week that he bombs. But
hey, you said that for 3 weeks in a row, though. So I mean,
yeah, right.
That's right. I might go get some Cousins. Yeah. Would you play Cousins or would you play Mayfield?
Cousins.
Nah, I think it's. Oh yeah, because Mayfield has Tennessee.
But
look
what
at
has
his stats for the year?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what has Baker Mayfield done to encourage you to start him? I mean, he had a
39 points against Cincinnati.
He had 30 in half point PPR. Or in regular 4-point touchdown leagues. For quarterbacks. I mean, Baker Mayfield, 3 of his last 4 games, he's been under 8 points.
Yeah,
that's true. Okay. Well, we got one last question. Claypool or Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson. Non-PPR rock out. Thanks for joining us, brother. Or sister. I guess it could be a sister. Let's see. Claypool or Deontay Johnson. Is that tomorrow? You have to play them tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
I would assume so. Yeah.
What do you guys think? I think I'd play Claypool. He's got more touchdown opportunity, although because it's non-PPR. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they're both getting volume. Claypool has actually gotten a fair amount of volume, but I still got to go Deontay. I mean, he's getting volume plus. I mean, he just seems to catch more of them. He's producing more yards. He's not producing, as many touchdowns. But I just feel like the floor is probably safer there with him. So I would actually go Deontay, but I would like either one of those options pretty well.
Yeah, it's nice. How many points do you need to win? Rock out. Let us know. That's kind of interesting. What do you think, AJ?
It is so hairline thin here about who I would go with in non-PPR because Claypool's touchdown dependent, but Deontay's got the safer floor. But I also keep looking at the last time Deontay got under a point was against Baltimore.
But he got hurt that game, I think.
That is true. That week 8, was that the one he got hurt again?
I think that was where he left the second time that he got hurt early in a game. So yeah, I believe that was it. But I could
remember if it was that or if it was when they covered him because he blew up against Tennessee. I can't remember.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Well, whichever one, I'm probably gonna go. It's close. Honestly, I would kind of flip a coin. I like Deontay's safe floor. I like his just 8+ points, and plus if he finally gets a touchdown, because Claypool's gotten 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, so probably due for a little bit of regression there. So I might go Deontay. I think he's a little bit safer, but
plus, do the Ravens have enough people to cover anyone?
That's true.
It's a good question. I don't know. I think people are going to. Isn't it?
It's
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's at like 3:30 or something. Yeah. And the reason is, I actually saw the reason for this
because of the Masters or something.
No, it's because NBC has it scheduled for the lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree.
That's right.
It's just funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
That's
right. The Masters is over. All right. Well, that will do it for us. Unless you guys have anything else, I am done.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Any ideas? Any things to discuss?
the last couple of weeks are going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the finish line before the finish line. Like if you make it to the play, like here's your 2 games to get to the playoffs. And I've got a lot of teams where like now when it's really down to 2 games, like you pretty well know exactly what you need to happen.
Well, I know what I need. I need to freaking win all of them. That's it. I just need to win all of them. I can't lose.
Run the table.
That's what I'm saying is like, if like, okay, I'm good, or I'm going to need to win one of these 2, or I'm going to need 2 of these 2, or I'm going to need 2 of these 2 and a lot of help.
Yeah.
And I've got teams that are 7-5 or 8-4. And I'm like, oh, I'm so close if I can just win one more. And then I've got teams that are 5-7, but the 4th place team is like 6-6. And I'm like, oh, if I can win the last 2 and he loses one of them and we're close in points. And so it is just like, I don't know. I get slightly recharged. Oh, I also will pick up I've played other leagues. So this wouldn't be the milestone overall. I would have already crossed it, I'm sure. But this week will give me my 1,000th win in Yahoo Fantasy Football.
Wow, that is awesome, sir.
Absolute stud, ladies and gentlemen.
I like it.
So little milestone. Yeah,
that's great.
Very nice.
Well, congratulations. And Rockout says, I'm down by 3, but he has Ravens kicker, though.
Okay.
Yes, Justin Tucker, because the Ravens offense with Robert Griffin III is going to march down the field behind Gus Edwards, and only Hollywood Brown and no Mark Andrews are going to get in field goal range.
No, they have Dobbins.
Be okay. I thought he was on the COVID list. I thought Dobbins was on the COVID list. He got off.
Well, he was. He and Ingram were on the COVID list, and then because they have postponed this game for 3 years now.
Right.
I believe is the exact count on it. This was originally scheduled to be played in 2017. He graduated from high school and went through college and then got off of the COVID list in time.
Right.
For
okay.
So, yeah.
I think hopefully you should be okay, Rockout. I think you'll be good.
All right, guys, it's been a good one. Jared, may you have 1,000 more, and may we all have 1,000 more wins, or 1,000 wins, or I got nothing. Unless you guys have anything else, I'm going to say good night.
I would say normally good luck on the waiver wire, but I can say good luck on the waiver wire later this week after the Ravens and Steelers maybe play.
Yeah. Good luck with the Ravens-Steelers game. Hope whatever scenario you need to happen happens, and join our Discord. It's in the chat.
That's right. You can always hit us up on chat. AJ and I are often on there.
I'll try to get on there now too. Oh, also,
we've heard that story.
I think we've firmly established now that Travis Fulgham is droppable.
Dead.
Yeah, that was a nice little story for 5 weeks, and now, what's funny is he actually posted the same amount of receiving yards as his last 2 weeks combined, and he posted the amount of catches as his last 2 weeks combined. Unfortunately, those last 2 weeks were just 8 yards each and 1 catch each, so he had 2 catches for 16 yards. So, that's a grand total of 5.2 points for Travis Fulgham over the last 3 weeks. So I'm feeling pretty good now about trading him and DK for originally it was, I think, Galladay and David Johnson, and then I traded David Johnson for AJ Brown. But anyway,
nice.
Sold high on Travis Fulgham.
Nice.
Same,
me too.
Good.
I dropped high on. I dropped him while he was high. That sounded weird. Anyways, on that,
you traded Derrick Henry to get him, and then you dropped Travis Fulgham. Yeah,
that would be a Judah. Oh, by the way, real quick, because that reminds me, what's going on with? I just want to get your guys' take. What is going on with Aaron Jones?
Oh yeah.
I mean, this has been crazy the last 3 weeks. I mean, as a Packers fan, I'm watching this, and he's really sharing carries with Jamal Williams.
Yeah, well, it's like going back even farther than that. Like his last 5 games, he's only hit, more than 12 points once, and that was 15 against Indy. Yeah, I don't know. He missed 2 due to injury. And I don't know if that's part of it. It seems like with Kamara last year, he came back and he just wasn't the same. It just seems like a lot of times, a running back comes back and they've still got something kind of wrong with them and they just don't tell you about it. And then now I'm afraid, as a Kamara owner in the Roto Hackers Listeners League, he's got, a foot. And so that's why the last couple of weeks they've been using him sparingly. And so fortunately, I don't really need him until week 15 because the only league I have him in is our Listeners League. But, and part of the thing is, maybe Drew Brees being out and it not being games that they necessarily have to win. So I'm just hoping that he's, at 100%, hopefully in week 15 when they're playing the Chiefs, who that's going to be a game they need to win. And hopefully Drew Brees is back and then he can get back up to full speed. But it worries me. And, we've talked about, and another one we were talking about, not to keep this going, but just to mention what we were talking about last night is we talk about that Russell Wilson late season slide, and the Russell Wilson late season slide
continues.
Seems to be coming back again. 14 points, 14.4 last night. 2 weeks ago, he had under 12 against the Rams. The week, in between, he had a pretty pedestrian 197 yards and just over 20 points against the Cardinals. Yeah. So Russell Wilson, if you're a Russell Wilson owner, I would be a little bit worried because his playoff schedule too is at Washington, which is a tough pass defense, and then the Rams, who shut him down. So for Russ, for DK, for Lockett, that could all be a little bit sketchy. And man, if it does work out that way, what a way to end the season after having these like
stormed the league with those 3 guys.
Video game type points through so much of the season. Well,
I hope you guys have a video game type week. The rest of the week.
Good type of video game, like the good Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl type video game.
See, okay, I'll have another little quick story here. But speaking of video games, I pre-ordered a PS5 back in September.
Miles.
And then I saw what they were going for on eBay. And so I turned around, they go for, they're $500 plus tax. Right. Yeah. And so I sold it on eBay for over $1,000.
You sold it?
Yeah.
Wow, you doubled your money.
Yeah.
No way.
Like I didn't intend to do that. I didn't even intend to do that, but I'm like, you know what? I've still got PS4 games that I need to play.
True.
And I'm unemployed because of COVID. And you know what? I don't need to be spending $500 on a system.
Mm-hmm. I would $1,000.
Yeah, it was a really random bid. And if I had done it, actually it was my second time that I had to auction it because the first bidder, I think they're having this problem on eBay where, bidders just, they bid and then they're like, I don't know. And then they don't pay. And so the first time it sold for $1,100 and that guy didn't pay. And so then this time, so I lost like $75 or so, but still, yeah, over
you gained like 500.
But yeah, I lost 75 off of what I could have had, but overall,
right.
Yeah. And so that worked out pretty well. So yeah, video games. Yeah. Worked out well. So someone's going to have a fun holiday with a PlayStation. I'm going to have a fun holiday with money. Yeah. And I can play my PS4 games, and then I'll go get a PS5. You know,
Yeah,
Where they
why
going
are they going
now?
for so much? Aren't they going
Launch
to be
consoles,
available
man.
soon enough? Huh?
Launch consoles. Everybody just wants them now. People can't be patient.
yeah. I
Well,
should have.
think COVID has something to do with it, right?
I don't know. This is normally what happens.
Yeah.
Like
Really?
Nintendo Switches were the same way
Yep.
a few years back, and that's only like a $250 system. And I think those were going for $1,000, $2,000 because those were like crazy hard to get your hands on.
That's insane.
So I think I did like again. I didn't intend to do that at the beginning. I was like, oh yeah, I'll get a PS5. It looks cool, and got the Miles Morales game and all that. Anyway, but in the future, I'm going to try to get multiple systems.
Get a couple of them,
yeah. So
nice.
Plus, with
All
PlayStation
right.
and Xbox, they come out with new versions so often that like the price drops on those pretty rapidly too.
yeah, right, yeah, and yeah, there's all kinds of options. So.
All right, guys, got to go. But good, interesting stuff. Good. It's cool. One day I'll tell you guys how I flipped my Justin Herbert card I got in a pack, but I didn't make $500. That's pretty nice.
Maybe you should hold on to it, and then like down the road, maybe you could flip it.
But the thing is with cards, like I have a history with cards where it's like they can go to trash real fast.
They can. It's very hard to know what's gonna be what. We again though, this just brings back the point. We have got to do another podcast or when this season's over and we're cutting back, go to this so we can talk about other stuff other than fantasy football. Yeah.
That's right. All right. There's a lot to talk about. We'll get into it if here and there. And I don't know. I'm rambling because I need to go. So, good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.